I realized that I hated doing outreach to get clients. Specifically, I realized that I hated sliding into people's DMs. Spending all this time drumming up business in DMs, and I could feel my life draining away. Precious time I'd never get back, wasted away with strangers who quite frankly, they didn't want to talk to me. So I asked myself, why should I spend all this time trying to convince people to book calls or to become clients? In my other businesses, we never did this. So why in expert-based businesses, coaching, consulting, courses, etc., so why is this kind of weird outreach behavior, why is it seen as normal? One day after one too many ghosted conversations, I was so frustrated and I realized that, hey, I'm good at what I do and people should be excited to work with me. But somehow, I've ended up on the wrong side of trust and influence and authority. I decided that was it, and in that moment, I quit all forms of outreach. But I still needed clients because, as a wise man once said, money isn't everything, but it ranks right up there with oxygen. So what did I do? Well, I'm going to tell you what I did, and I'm going to share with you how it's worked out so far. But first, let's back up a bit and get a first principle perspective about what marketing does to your business. Because as you're about to see, it's easy to get lost and create a monster when you don't know the why. All right, so in business, we offer value. Clients want that value, so they give us their money. And to get more clients to give us their money, there are all kinds of lead generation methods we can use. And there are hundreds, if not thousands of ways to lure customers in to buy your thing. But when you break it down, they fall into two categories, outbound and inbound. Now, people often mix these up, like an owner on Kitchen Nightmares, insisting to Gordon Ramsay that, no, their food is not frozen, it's fresh frozen.
We keep it fresh frozen.
Fresh frozen?
Yes, chef.
There's no such thing. It's either fresh or it's frozen.
I understand.
What's this in water?
It's a salmon, chef.
Frozen.
It was a fresh frozen.
So let's clear the air once and for all. What is outbound lead generation? In the good old days, outbound meant pounding the pavement and knocking door to door. Then this evolved into working the phones and cold calling. Today, no one answers their phones, so it's sending cold email and texts and sliding into people's DMs. The good news is that outbound works. The barrier to entry is low, so anyone can do it. Now, this is a numbers game, so you're going to get a lot of no's. In fact, you're going to get mostly no's, so you're going to want to have a thick skin. Oh, and you're going to need a lot of time because, hey, it's a numbers game, and you're going to go through a lot of no's to get a yes. So that's the good news. The bad news is that outbound is relentless. At some point, people often start building a team, and depending on the scale of operation, keeping a team of outbound on target can be, let's say, challenging. But that's not the worst of it. One of the biggest problems with outbound is it usually scares away or completely misses your ideal clients. So you're left flittering your time away with average or less than average people. And because of this, if we follow the logic, many of your clients, once they start working with you, will get average or below average results. Meaning a larger percentage might not even finish working with you, so they'll either stop paying or they might even want refunds. And then there's the fact of having fewer happy customers means you have fewer raving fans, which means fewer people to spread the word about you. So ultimately, less leads from referrals. And then you end up with a business that's kind of not that much fun. In fact, you probably know people with businesses like this, and they don't see their business as something that they love, but instead maybe as a burden because they have to fight for every single lead that they get, regardless of the quality. And this constant chasing ultimately just wears you down. Now, don't get me wrong, outbound works, and many fortunes have been built using it, but I just decided that it wasn't for me. So let's switch gears and talk about inbound leads. In the good old days, companies would run commercials on the wireless radio, and when people started buying black and white TVs, they started running ads there too. Businesses would also try and have stories and articles written about their products and services in local newspapers and magazines. Fast forward to today and the advent of social media and personal devices and fast wireless internet, we have a ton of channels to develop inbound leads, but it all boils down to a simple objective: getting in front of the right people and making it easy for them to take action. The bad news is that most business owners have no idea how to do this effectively. So they end up copying other people who also have no idea how to do this effectively. And everyone spends months spinning their wheels going nowhere. And then they usually just go back to outbound because, hey, at least it kind of works. And they'd rather keep dealing with the whole outbound method than let their dreams and having a business and getting that freedom fade slowly into the background. But here is the good news. Most competitors are so heavily distracted with outbound that the game is stacked in your favor as long as you know what you're doing and you like being creative and you understand the benefits of being patient. And there's more good news. See, the clients who find you via inbound lead generation, these tend to be people who just make better quality clients. And better quality clients usually leads to better quality results, and then more of them tell their friends about you, which in turn leads to you getting more inbound leads. Now, many businesses do a combination of both these strategies, inbound and outbound. But remember, I'd had enough of how outbound made me feel, and it just didn't align with who I was, with who I am. So quitting outbound to get clients meant I was 100% dedicated to inbound LeadFlow. And for this to work, I need to make content and show it to my audience. But there was just one problem. A few years back, I'd lost my 5,000 plus Facebook audience through some Facebook error. And at the time, I didn't really care that much because Facebook was so toxic and perhaps I was better off without it. But after a few years off social media and just traveling the world and serving a small group of clients, I started to get hungry again for the challenge of growing a business because I'd realized that helping people grow their thing gave me a spark that I just couldn't get many other ways. Bottom line, my audience is gone. This was a big problem. Remember, for inbound LeadFlow to work, the whole objective is to get in front of the right people. But I didn't have or want to drop like a 30K ads budget to buy an audience, which left me only with one option. I needed to build one. The thought did cross my mind to do some outbound marketing just to get the ball rolling. But because my whole approach now is inbound, and I'm helping people, I'm teaching people how to get inbound LeadFlow up and running, if I used outbound, I would be ethically misaligned. I'd basically be a fraud. So I was growing an audience to get inbound LeadFlow to get clients from scratch. So before I share my results with you, here's what I did, how I built inbound LeadFlow. First, I built my unique lead mechanism. This meant that from the very beginning, I'd make it easy for my very first audience member, once they'd found me, to be able to discover a path to work with me if they wanted. Many people make the mistake of doing all this work to attract clients for their business without having this in place. And it's kind of like going to all the effort of having a store, filling it with stock, but not putting cash registers in. Oh, and simply having a call booking link or a contact form, that doesn't cut it. Barely anyone uses those things. Second thing I did was I picked my core channel. I needed a place to house content as I made it. At first, I opened a new Facebook page again. However, I quickly remembered all the reasons why it just wasn't fun making content for Facebook. So after a few months, I decided, you know what, I'm going to start a Substack newsletter. Then after a month or so, I thought, you know what, I'm going to try my hand at YouTube as well. And what I've learned from experimenting this way is if I focus on creating something unique for YouTube, it spins off other useful things I can use for my newsletter and I can share on my socials. So it's really a streamlined content creation process that's useful to people who are consuming it. Third thing, create the right stuff. This is where I got strategic, and here's where it gets fun. Creating the right content ticks a number of boxes, and that's what I did. It shortened the time it took for people to know, like, and trust me, then also to feel comfortable to reach out if they wanted to know more. There's no time here in this short video to get too in-depth, but basically I made 3 short lists of topics. One designed to get attention, one about my avatar's needs and desires, and the third thing was I needed a list which is all about me and my values. Then I just incorporate these topics with good headlines and formats that got people to click and to view. The idea was to get people to have epiphanies when they consumed my content. Fourth, publish regularly. This can work with just one good piece of content, but this works so much better when you've built a binge bank. I told myself I'd give this experiment 6 months before reevaluating. Now, I'm not at that point yet, but so far, I'm having a lot of fun sharing what I've been working on, and it's given me an outlet to teach, to lead, and to help. Being creative is way much more fun than the grind of outbound. And considering my inbound LeadFlow channel isn't even 6 months old yet, we're really only just getting started. So here are the results so far. So as of this recording, my core audience size is 346 people. That's a YouTube, 4 months old, Substack, about 5 months old. So the total audience, including social medias and small email list, we're talking 1,318 people. And many of those people are on multiple of those channels. What's the inbound lead channels yield? Well, currently, qualified leads are coming in at average about 4 per week. New high-ticket clients are about 1.1 per month. New other clients are about 2.5 per month. And these numbers are excluding my existing clients. This is just new stuff coming in through the inbound lead channel. Now, the inbound costs. The content creation time budget, I give myself 12 hours a week. Sometimes I go under, sometimes I go over, sometimes I get excited and I'll just spend more time because it's fun. But a 12-hour budget is what I've got for it. Now, hours of outreach, 0. Hours of follow-up, 0. That's right, I don't do any follow-up. Brain-numbing hours of DMs, 0. Developing an inbound lead channel takes time, especially when starting from zero. But what's interesting is that these things gain momentum and it's fun. All right, so here's the final secret. The secret is having your ULM, unique lead mechanism, in place. Because as you can see, my audience is tiny. And in these early stages, it's important to generate revenue without needing to go viral. Because while it might happen as my content gets better, I can't rely on it. I consider not sharing these numbers. But if you've watched this far and understand what you're seeing, I know you'll value this transparency. I mean, this is an inbound lead generation model that doesn't rely on going viral. It started with an audience of 0, and unlike every ounce of energy spent on outbound, that is just done once and you have to do it again, inbound lead flow is evergreen. And the more it grows, the less effort it requires. And this is just idling. I'm not even talking about what happens in phase 2, when we amplify any element of this with ads, or what happens if some piece of content gets lucky and goes viral, or what happens if one day I decide to actually follow up with people. However, without doing anything different, at its current rate, it won't be long before my client roster is full. The thing is, the current rate is gaining momentum. So who knows how long before this tiny audience doubles? And then what would the revenue numbers be? Perhaps I'll do another update when the audience reaches 5,000. Lessons. Okay, so what went wrong? I really underestimated how difficult it was to try and grow an audience on Facebook again. The platform has changed so much, and it's just not fun over there. It really isn't. I gotta say, what went right was discovering Substack. I, in hindsight, would have started that a year ago. It was on my list to do a year ago, but I just never got around to doing it. But seeing how fast the growth is there and how interactive the community is and how fun it is to create content there, I think I would have, that's one mistake. I think I would love to have created my Substack earlier and started sharing there sooner and putting less time into traditional things like Facebook. So I hope you can see, you don't need a huge audience to generate clients. And as I've shown you, once you get your head around how inbound works, and if you build your inbound leads channel, you won't need to do outbound anymore either, if you don't want to. If you want to see how many clients your audience can generate, use the how many clients calculator linked below. Otherwise, this next video is going to tell you how many clients you actually need to build the kind of business that you're going to really love. I'll see you in the next video.